All right, welcome to Survive to Thrive. Happy Thursday, everybody. I got the day right, right? Good start. Okay. So success is 90% mindset, 10% skill set. And if it's 90% mindset, then we want to make sure that we're spending time on mindset. At the same time, 90% of success when it comes to having the right mindset and complete failure on the 10% skill set is going to lead to what? Going to lead to failure.
Failure.
Yeah, 100%, right, Christine? I mean, I can have the
Yes.
best mindset in the world. I mean, I could be Tigger, right? That guy right back there. I could be Tigger as a real estate agent, not have a clue what I'm doing, and I'm still I'm gonna fail. However, 10% skill set, mastering that and having the wrong mindset is gonna lead to what? Same answer. Somebody say it.
Success.
Mastering your skill set and having the wrong mindset.
Failure.
Thank you.
Failure.
There you go. There you go. So one of the things that I would do every single day in order to work on my mindset is I would read books. Now, when I'm saying read books, I mean I want a book in your hand and a highlighter in the other hand. And I know you guys like to listen to books, and I get it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, because you should. And you could drive, you can do multitasking that way, right? However, you need to have a book in your hand. You need to have a highlighter in the other hand, a journal and a pen, and take notes. Read to learn, to grow, to improve, to become better. If you can block an hour a day, every day to read, a year from now, you're going to be better than you are today. Now, well, the other thing that I would encourage you to do when it comes to mindset is hang out with the right people. If you're hanging out with ducks, you're going to be a duck. And if you hang out with eagles, you're going to be an eagle. So make sure that you've got the right tribe around you. Be really careful about guarding your mind and guarding your heart with any kind of negative thinking, any kind of limiting belief. If you read The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. Sorry, guys, too many books in my
I
head,
love that book.
right? If you read
Yes.
The Dream Giver, met him, by the way, cool story. If you read The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson, he tells a story about a young man called Ordinary who lives in a land called Familiar. And everybody in Familiar is named Ordinary. And they all do the same thing every day. And one day, uh, this particular ordinary wakes up and there's a feather in his windowsill. Now, the feather means that the dream giver had visited him the night before, and he woke up with a dream in his heart. All right. Now, imagine a land where nobody thinks outside the box. Everybody gets up and does exactly the same thing every day. Safe, comfortable, secure. As a real estate trainer and coach, I'm also a recruiter. So I call real estate agents and I recruit real estate agents to join my team. That's part of what I do. And one of the most common things that I hear is I'm happy and I'm comfortable. And it's interesting because I'm happy that they're happy. I'm not so much happy that they're comfortable, because comfortable means I'm going to stay right where I'm at and I'm happy with this. Well, that's also saying that I don't want to grow. I don't want to get uncomfortable. If I want to grow, I have to be willing to become uncomfortable. If you study exercise physiology, when you go to the gym and you push weights, you're actually breaking down the muscles in your body. It's actually creating little rips, minor tears in your muscle. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. No pain, no gain. And when that muscle improves, it heals overnight or over a couple days. It's getting stronger. Being uncomfortable leads to growth. So when I hear I'm happy and I'm comfortable, my first thought is why? Why are you comfortable? Now, in the dream giver, ordinary is faced with immediate opposition. His parents tell him, think smaller, that's dangerous, you shouldn't do that. His friends tell him, his coworkers tell him, and he decides to pursue this goal, this dream that he woke up with anyways. Now he meets two people, two different groups of individuals on this journey. One are dream bullies. So write this down. Who are my dream bullies? Who's standing between you and the goal that you want to achieve? And then ask yourself, who are my dream champions? Who are those individuals who come alongside of me and champion the cause and motivate me, encourage me, and inspire me to keep going in spite of pain, in spite of being uncomfortable? Who are my dream champions? Now, I want to share a little bit with you that I read from this tiny little book called The Little Things, written by Andy Andrews. And in chapter 5, he's talking about a little thing like a 16th of an inch. Almost can be a dangerous concept. It allows exclusion, financial loss, even death. Do not be deceived. Almost to safety is not safety. Almost straight is not straight. Now, Tulio, what I'm hearing when I'm hearing that is I've created goals for 2024. I know what my goals are. I have a decided heart. I am on a destination. I am on a journey with a destination that is assured. And in order to arrive at this destination, I have these daily standards that I'm going to hold myself accountable to. Now, if I get caught in the habit of settling for almost, am I going to arrive at the destination? No, I'm not. But if I hold myself accountable to those daily standards and I never allow myself not to hit them, 10 real estate conversations, for example, it's a standard. I'm not going to stop until I get to 10. Now, my other standard would be, okay, 10 real estate conversations and 1 appointment booked every day, whichever comes last. And I'm not going to stop until I've hit that daily standard if I allow myself to settle for almost. I'm going to end up failing. Now, he goes on to say, I was beginning to suspect we would be dead soon. This would be the end and tragedy of our own doing. There we were in one boat, one small boat without a large fuel capacity. It would be dark soon. Now, what he's talking about is he's talking about an experience from his own life when he was younger, and he and a buddy had taken his buddy's parents' boat out one night to go fishing, and they were on track. They had a destination. Pay attention. They had a destination they want to arrive at, which was this oil rig, because all the kids in town had talked about how awesome the fishing was off this oil rig. And it was a couple miles offshore, but they had a GPS and they had it plugged in and everything is good, except it wasn't. And they ended up finding out that it was off by just 1/16 of an inch. But 1/16 of an inch over a 2-mile stretch is going to put you way off course. And they're in this boat. It's dark. They can't see a thing. They know they've gone far enough to be able to see the oil rig, and yet they still can't see it. And they're starting to become afraid because they only have so much fuel in the gas tank, and they're reaching that point where they don't have enough to get back to shore, and they're afraid. All right. The wind had increased to at least 12 knots since we left Orange Beach, Alabama, guys. The seas were running a consistent 3 to 4 feet. Adding to the building tension was the fact that after 4 hours of pounding along, neither of us had spotted the oil rig that marked the area where we were determined to fish. Side note, can you see your goals? If you can't see your goals, you're not going to hit them. Please write that down. For about the 10th time, our new friend, they had a third person on the boat with them, leaned down to read the electronics. It was the autopilot he was checking, of course. We dialed in the route when the boat left the rocks at Pareto Pass. We had been to the rig before and never thought for a moment that we might have trouble finding it. Heck, it was impossible to miss. Did I mention that you couldn't miss it? Well, apparently we did, or we had. As the sky and water darkened to an inky blackness, the hole in my stomach deepened. The rig was nowhere in sight. Side note, when you on this journey and you reach these points of disappointment, you go days without scheduling an appointment, maybe weeks without scheduling an appointment. You have this goal of listing 2 properties per month, 3 a month, 4 a month, whatever it is, and you go 60 days without taking 1 listing, and you start to feel that pain in your gut. It's called fear. Okay, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen?
You give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Frustration.
Yeah.
You let it consume you and it just prolongs it.
Yeah. So you start to focus on the problem versus focusing on the solution, and you lose sight of the lighthouse. Listen, a sailor that is firmly fixed on the lighthouse steers a productive course. But as soon as that captain takes his or her eyes off the lighthouse and they start looking at the waves, what's going to happen? They're going to fail. Now, those of you who have been on Survive to Thrive for the last 3 years, you know me well, and you know at some point during these Tuesday and Thursday meetings, we're going to end up in church. So we're going to go to church here. You guys ready?
Yep. Ready.
Jesus was walking on the water. The disciples are in the boat. Peter. Christine, did I get that right? It's Peter, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Peter looks at Jesus. Jesus says, "Come to me." Peter gets out of the boat. He's walking on the water. He is firmly fixed on Jesus until he looks at the waves. What happens when he looks at the waves?
He sinks down.
He sinks. When his eyes are firmly fixed on his proof of hope, he walks on water. When he takes his eyes off his proof of hope, he sinks and begins to drown. When you are firmly fixed on your proof of hope, success is guaranteed. The moment you take your eyes off that proof of hope and you start paying attention to the fear that is all around you, you are going to sink. You are going to fail. You guys get this?
Yes.
All right. Somehow we realized we had managed to stray off course. It was the only possible explanation. Kevin stared at his watch. I didn't ask. I knew what he was doing. He was calculating how long we had run and at what speed. The boat had enough fuel to make it to our destination and back to Orange Beach, just enough. With no other choice but to head back, we turned into the crossing seas and began to plow slowly, conserving as much fuel as we could toward land. The wind blew harder. All right, so even in the face of possible death, you guys realize if you've ever been out on a boat in the open seas and the motor stops and you've got large waves, you've got a really good possibility that the boat is going to get swamped. It's going to go over and it's going to sink, and you're miles off course with no boat. It's dangerous. So there's a lot of fear. And even in the face of that fear, they chose to go to turn back to the destination and to plow forward in spite of how afraid they were. It was the only choice they had. Side note, you could accomplish anything when it's the only option you have. We ground our teeth, concentrated on prayers we hadn't said often enough, and held our breath as the engine struggled through the night on what were quickly becoming only fumes. When at last the fuel did run dry and the twin motors were silenced, Jim cleated a rope tied to the other end of an empty bucket and tossed it overboard. Immediately, the bow responded to the improvised sea anchor and swung around, pointing the relatively small craft towards safety in the waves. Pretty smart. Now, had he not done that, they were doomed. All right. We didn't talk, but we were terrified. You guys ever terrified? I am. You ever wake up in the morning just terrified? How am I going to pay the bills this month? I do. We didn't talk, but we were terrified, huddling together as if one of us might hold the key to salvation for the other two. At dawn, our spirits brightened somewhat with the realization that we were within sight of land. Hope, proof of hope. I can see my goal. The critical information about our adventure was not discovered until a couple of weeks after our near destination disaster, when an electronic survey revealed the boat's autopilot was off by 2 degrees. 2 degrees. There are 360 separate degrees of bearing in an autopilot's internal compass. 2 of those degrees represent a mere smidgen of difference, less than 1/16 of an inch on an actual compass. But distance magnifies the difference. Here's what I want you to hear. First, be clear on the destination. The destination for 2024, for example. Be clear on the destination. Understand that there is a path to that destination. Also understand that being off by just 1/16 of an inch, one less conversation per day, could make the difference between success and failure. If my daily standard is 20 real estate conversations and I stop at 19 because I'm close enough, or I stop at 18 because I'm close enough, I didn't have the 19th conversation or the 20th conversation, which could have turned into $1 million listing that I never got because I didn't have the conversation. And the worst part of it is I'm never going to know that I missed out on this opportunity simply because I didn't have the conversation.
Yep.
When you decide that you are on a journey with a destination that is assured, you will not let failure stand between you, temporary failure, momentary failure. You will not let momentary, temporary failure stand between you and your destination. You are on a journey with a destination that is assured. There is absolutely nothing or no one that can stop you from achieving your goals. Anything is possible. Everything is possible. But if you allow yourself to make decisions based on being comfortable, a year from now, you'll be exactly where you are today. Why would anything change if you don't change? I mean, that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results, not reading, not growing, not hanging out with the right people, expecting to grow. It ain't going to happen. Nathan started the conversation out this morning talking about his team and the commitments that they had made this year. And what he was saying was, John, we've made a decision to get uncomfortable. We've made a decision to get into some pain in order to get better. It's a decision that every single one of us can make every day. It's a decision that every single one of us can make in our life. And yet, very few people do. All right. That's a wrap.
That's good.